DJ and PK brought to you in part by Kenny J's Barbecue. They'll cater your work parties, luncheons, weddings, family get-togethers, holiday parties. New catering clients get 10% off their first order. Come eat with Hans and Scotty tomorrow from noon to 3 at Kenny J's at the District. DJ PK, we are joined once again by Chris Karpman, SunDevilSource.com, 24/7 Sports. Chris, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you guys.
So, Chris, as you may know, you may remember, PK is a Sun Devil. And when they play, he comes in and says the same thing again and again. I can't believe they just won another close game right at the end. They looked beaten. They pulled the rabbit out of the hat. They got it done. Do you have any explanation for how they keep doing this? Is it just, hey, it's going to even out over time, or has Dillingham got something going? Has he got some secret sauce?
Yeah, there's three things that are big factors in that. Number one, ASU's had great turnover margin. Last season, ASU was first in the Big 12 in turnover margin in the regular season. The other teams that were tied atop the conference were all great in that category. Number two, ASU has been able to stop the run pretty consistently and first in stopping the run. That matters a lot throughout games and allows you to kind of be in position to where you can win at the end. And then Sam Leavitt is a difference maker in the fourth quarter and late in the fourth quarter. His mobility extends drives and is difficult to manage when the game is on the line. He tends to kind of come up big. And as a second part of that third item is Jordan Tyson's playmaking capability is just different than pretty much everyone in the Big 12. I think he's the best skill position player in the Big 12 when working with someone like Sam Leavitt, that those things kind of all converge to give ASU one of the best late fourth quarter teams probably in the country.
Yeah, I listened to your recap. You had Jordan Tyson as possibly the best receiver at ASU history, but I think you couched it in your time, which I believe is about 2 decades, because as I was listening, I was screaming at you, John Jefferson, but I think that was well before your time, so I think you were making that point. And I've listened to I usually listen to Dillingham's thing that he posts when I go to the gym and keep up with the program. Obviously, I have a personal interest, plus also it's for work, so it's a good thing for me to do to kill time when I'm on the treadmill or whatever. And they were talking about, he's got to find opportunities to get the ball to the other receivers. And I'm thinking, why? If it keeps working with this kid, why? I mean, if it doesn't work and they put 2 or 3 guys on him, that's another story. But it seems like it was working. And I mean, in that long touchdown pass that they had against was it TCU a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago now because they had the bye. I mean, that was almost like you could argue that was a game saver. I mean, they were really struggling at that point. So, I mean, this kid is just that good. So keep going to him.
Totally agree. In fact, that's why Marcus Arroyo, ASU's offensive coordinator, was the top offensive coach in the country last year, according to the Broyles Award. What the Sun Devils like to do with Tyson is move him around the formation to exploit the types of coverage tendencies and any personnel vulnerabilities that opponents have down distance situations. So he's going to be in the slot. He's going to be into the boundary. He's going to be on the wide side of the field. And that's something when you have predictable tendencies as a defense that can really be taken advantage of. So like TCU, you kind of knew that they weren't going to be in a lot of cover 2 trap style where they're rolling a safety as a bracket. The Utah plays is a little bit tougher, I think, of a defense because of the way that it merges so seamlessly between what looks to be man and it'll turn into a cover 2 trap, or they play a lot of cover 3 kind of mixed in, but they play a ton of man. If they get caught into a situation where ASU is running the ball effectively and they're bringing that safety down more, and you get into some single high safety looks and some man coverage, and ASU is able to block it up well, well, that could be a problem. So this is a cat and mouse game that we're going to see on Saturday in that exact respect of ASU trying to move Jordan Tyson around to get him into situations that ultimately turn into one-on-ones where there isn't rolled coverage and the safety over the top. And that's one of the biggest factors, I would say, in whether or not ASU's offense is going to be able to put together something that can hang in the game.
Curious about Arizona State's ability to run the ball against the Utes. I know the early season stats can be a little squishy. You get some blowouts, you can blow them up. But, man, Arizona State ran for over 200 yards against TCU. So what do you think of their ability to run the ball on the Utes? Because that's traditionally something Kyle Whittingham, he focuses on it, and he gets that run defense pretty solid. But ASU is crushing it so far. Yeah,
Relief Brown's over 500 yards, averaging – we're only a couple backs in the conference, over 100 yard per game average, and it's interesting because it's quite different than the Cam Skadaboo type of grinded out, yards after contact style. Relief Brown's more of a home run hitter. He doesn't necessarily have the greatest vision or feel for where a hole is going to be sometimes, and then other times he just pops through. And he's by the linebackers in a hurry, and he's hitting a 75-yard touchdown. So he has a big play capability to what he's doing. And if you give him too much of a hole in a gap scheme run where he feels really good about it, he can break that. Overall, I think ASU's not as good running the ball as with Cam Skadaboo, and especially that shows up in short yardage and goal line situations. That's been a weakness for ASU to this point. It probably cost them the Mississippi State game when they got down onto the doorstep and couldn't get in there. And in other situations, it's been pretty frustrating, I think, for fans to see that they've marched all the way down the field and they can't turn some of those drives into touchdowns. And that's also super important when you're playing in a game that I think will be lower scoring than the typical game because these defenses are quite good, and you may even have some inclement weather there that contributes to it.
Yeah, the red zone offense sucks. I mean, I've been joking with family and friends that they should just stop at the 21-yard line because for whatever reason, man, they just have not been able to do it. Now, they've had the bye week, and I know Arroyo speaks. They have the coordinators speak every week. What types of changes do you think that they can do to be far more effective? Even on the one where they scored the touchdown to tie the game, that was on a fourth down on the pass to Levitt to Tyson, and they almost didn't get that. And so these opportunities that they get down there and not coming away with anything or just three has been devastating. So they've got to get better. What are they going to do?
Yeah, so I think they have improved in the high red area in the last couple weeks, and I think Levitt's done a better job of managing those situations. It's been mostly when they're inside the 5,
right,
where they've had the biggest issues. Something that they introduced yesterday in practice was they moved Ben Coleman from center to left guard, where he started last year and had played a lot more in his career, hadn't really played center, and they put Wade Helton, who replaced Jumeto Obigbo early in the game against TCU in the first quarter after Obigbo had a costly penalty. They moved Helton from left guard to center, and I think he's a little bit more physical of a player getting off the football, a little bit more athletic, and I'd say a little more range and strength, play strength, whereas Coleman is a great pass pro guy, especially at guard. And so their hope, it seems to me, would be to get a little bit more push at the snap. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's a really great idea when you're going up to Utah to introduce that. If they end up going with that start the game, they can, of course, just flip them back because it's basically just trading your left guard and center. So it theoretically, I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal if it doesn't work early on unless you have a catastrophic play. And then I think they need to figure out some misdirections, get Levitt running to where you have some naked bootleg with some passing options, get some block releases from your tight ends, play actions, and maybe some running back screens, things that are misdirections. I don't know that they're going to be able to just run it straight, especially against a team that has the type of size and physicality of a Utah up front. And then maybe Kanye Uda, who they brought in from Army. He's a 1,100-yard rusher last season. He's their biggest back that they have, and he hasn't really been used that much in those situations. I think perhaps because they're not sure about his ability to hit the hole decisively, but that's another potential thing that I think they've taken a look at.
We're joined right now by Chris Karpman. He covers Arizona State for SunDevilSource.com and 24/7 Sports, while ASU and Utah go head-to-head, and also BYU's playing Arizona. I got to imagine all four of these schools have one eye over on Texas Tech. I mean, they had all the money, so that's the first red flag going up. And now, midway through the season, it looks like they spent it wisely. There is a long history of people who have money spending it poorly, but they've got money and they're spending it wisely. How worried is everyone there about Texas Tech and their positioning in the Big 12?
Well, I don't think ASU's coaches or players are thinking about it this week because going to Utah in a night game on ESPN to try to go 3-0 in the conference is a pretty tall order. But fans are thinking about it a lot. And I'm sure that Kane Dillingham's taken a look and seen that Texas Tech is extremely formidable. I agree with you that you never know how all those things are going to come together with guys yelling and egos and being on the same page, what you're doing with so many new players coming in via transfer and getting a lot of money, and are there going to be focus distractions and all that? But they've handled it quite well, and to me look to be the best team in the conference early on the season. I think this game, ASU-Utah, the winner will be as well positioned as any other team in the conference. And ASU has to play Texas Tech next Saturday, so they're hosting them at 1 p.m. on Fox, and it's like a back-to-back, gauntlet. These two games are going to be a bare knuckle brawl. That's what I've been saying, and I don't know if ASU's ready for Texas Tech. Or I don't know if any team is ready for Texas Tech. So we're going to find that out. But that's, I think, what makes this game all the more important for these teams. Utah simply cannot, having already lost to Texas Tech, lose another game in the first half of the Big 12 and have any realistic expectations of winning a tiebreaker that involves Texas Tech to get into the Big 12 championship. So this is a game that I think ASU needs to win, and Utah is an absolute must-win with this being at home.
Yeah, we've been talking about that all week as far as Utah goes. I think if the Devils found a way to go 1-1 in the next 2 weeks, they'd probably take it. They would never admit that publicly, but that wouldn't be necessarily a bad spot to be in either Saturday or the following Saturday at home on a Saturday afternoon, where it could very well be hot in October, having lived there many years. It's amazing to me that we're even talking about ASU being in this position because, as you recall, the last time they came into Rice Eccles, they lost 55-3, and they didn't even have a quarterback. And I had coaches from Utah texting me, telling me how bad they felt for the team because they were so injury riddled and just couldn't compete. I mean, you don't very rarely hear that another team has compassion. Usually you want to just polarize them and get an easy W, but nevertheless, that's what it was. And here we are 2 years later, and the situation has been changed just so dramatically. It's just incredible. But we live in the world of the transfer portal as far as that goes. And as I look at the Devils team this year, they got a lot of seniors on this team. And I think that ultimately the transfer portal changes everything in terms of recruiting. And I think I had asked you this last time you were on. That golden ticket that Kenny threw out there as far as the local guys. Is he making any headway? And I realize it's not as important as it used to be because of the transfer portal, but I think to the fans, it still stings when 4-star Joe Blow goes to Oregon or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no substitute for being successful recruiting in your home state. Like, which blue blood teams are not dominating in their home region. Like, that doesn't happen. ASU's been borderline terrible, like between mediocre and terrible, at getting the best players from high school to remain in state. I think there's a difference, though, now, because with rev share in the first year and teams having the $18 million to $20.5 million at the universities, and 75% of that's going to football at most places, so it's like a $15, $16, $17 million thing, a puzzle. You can't be allocating too much money to incoming freshmen if those guys aren't going to be playing a lot for you in the two deep in their first year or two. So you need to save that money to channel that to getting the top transfers. And so I think high school recruiting as a result is less meaningful than ever from a stars and rankings standpoint. You need to make sure that you get players that you're able to retain for the first 2 or 3 years and develop, and they hang in there with you and they're talented enough rather than transferring down to a level where they can play really well. And so I think the evaluation piece of are these the right types of guys who are going to be content for the next 2 years on a team where almost always everybody's going to be good veterans, including transfers or guys you've already developed for the last couple of years. That's a whole new component to that. And that doesn't excuse not being able to get local talent. And ASU has developed good relationships with these 2027 recruits. They've been recruiting them now as long as anybody. They offered them early. They told them that they're the priority over everybody else in high school recruiting, and that they'll always be able to come to ASU. A bunch of these guys have already been at multiple games this season. I've talked to their parents. I've seen them. So you can't, at this point, question the effort, especially when most of these ASU coaches are from Arizona originally. Remember, they have, between Charlie Regal, Sean Aguano, Jason Mons, they have a bunch of state championships coaching Arizona high school football. Dillingham is from here. Brian Ward is originally from here. And if all of that stuff doesn't yield results when you're also winning and going to Big 12 championship games and having a ranked team, I can't really put too much fault in it when I know that the reason is because so many kids in Arizona, for whatever reason, have tended to have they're just hypnotized by going to blue blood programs. And remember, a bunch of them have now transferred back to ASU in under Dillingham when they didn't get the opportunities they had hoped for in those places.
That was actually what I wanted to ask you. How are they doing with the bounce back kids? And it seems like they come in two flavors here, right? There's a kid who goes to the Big Sky or the Mountain West. Maybe ASU thinks they're good, but they're just not quite good enough. Maybe they have a late growth spurt or something like that, and they're just a late bloomer. And then also the kids that they miss on, and they go to some blue blood, but it doesn't work out. They're buried on the depth chart. The coach gets fired, whatever. How hard are they going at bounce back kids in the transfer portal?
They've actually taken a bunch, and what's interesting is that a lot of the high-profile ones that they were able to get back, they haven't actually done that well. Like Bram Walden was the number 1 or number 2 recruit in his class out of Saguaro, went to Oregon, didn't play there, transferred back. After a year, he basically just decided he wasn't going to play football anymore. Tate Romney was a pretty high-profile guy. Transferred back. He's a backup. There's a bunch of guys that they've added who were at other places, and for whatever reason, they haven't really popped. And I have a whole hypothesis about this. I think that Arizona high school football, with the really big time programs, the Chandlers and Saguaros and Brophy Preps and others, I think that they do such a good job of coaching and developing these guys and they get so much traffic from a recruiting standpoint because all these college coaches want to go to Arizona in the spring, and they're going to stop at all the prominent schools. I think that you're not going to out-evaluate that group, and you're not going to be able to develop those players as much as the players who go to lesser-known, not as good high school programs. So I think a lot of times the sleeper Arizona prospects end up being better in the long run because they have a longer runway to develop. And that's, in my opinion, the guys at ASU shouldn't miss on because they also aren't going to cost as much in the revenue share era. So I think ASU's had some success with some of those guys, getting them on their roster, like Lamar Williams. He went to Eastmark High School, which has only been around for like 4 or 5 years. Nobody really saw him, and now he's their second-string defensive tackle as a redshirt freshman who's probably going to end up being a multi-year starter. There's other guys that are like that out there. I think ASU has to try to maximize its evaluation piece to bring those guys in.
Did they recruit Dampier?
No, they didn't really recruit Dampier. We're talking about a period when ASU recruited and landed some pretty good quarterbacks. And I think the sense on him was, okay, he's 5'10", 5'11", and he's a great athlete. Is he going to be able to manage the balancing act at a high level in college as a true pocket passer or a full service quarterback? And I think there were some questions about that. Dillingham said this week that he made a mistake personally and wished that he had recruited Dampier more aggressively. I don't know how much of that's posturing because he's tended to get some pretty good quarterbacks as well.
Chris, we appreciate the time and all the info. Thanks for joining us. That theory had PK nodding his head like, yeah, we got to talk about that. I think we're going to be talking about that. Chris, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, guys.
Chris Karpman, SunDevilSource.com, 24/7 Sports. That parallels some of what we've seen with Utah and BYU. Years ago, Bronco talking about, hey, give me the 2 or 3 star guy. The long runway theory Karpman just threw out, who wants to work hard and wants to get better. And by his 4th, 5th year, he can be a good player. And we've seen it with Kyle Whittingham, bringing guys in and coaching them up. There's no celebration when they get them, but there's certainly tears shed when they leave after they've done all their good work.
Right, but I think there's levels, and that's an important level too. But the stud, if
you're going to beat Texas in a playoff game, you need your 5 stars. You're going to need some 5 stars. You can't do it without them.
Yeah, there was a kid.
And Tyson was hurt last year, right? They didn't have him for that.
Play. No, he missed
because he got
in the Arizona game.
He jacked up his knee in the Arizona game. Yeah,
he was out for the Big 12 title game and then in the playoff game. But at the same time, when Georgia's winning the national championship, the cornerbacks, he's a kid who played for this Munz, who's now the tight end coach. Dampier played for him too at Saguaro, and he's making the pick 6, and he's right 5 miles away.
Yeah.
So try to get those guys too.
Right. DJ PK, it's 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone. When we come back, everything you missed in this show, that's next.
Hey, bro.
You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bangs.
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. The topic of the morning, we have the Border War Daily Double, BYU and Arizona, 6 o'clock. Arizona State and Utah at 8:15. PK, you put the question up last night. Who should Cougar fans root for? ASU, who won the conference last year, irritated them. Or Utah, who they've loathed for decades. And we got another open mic. It's People weigh in on this all morning long. This is from Drew.
DJ PK, any BYU fan who says they want to see Utah win needs to set up a meeting with their bishop and repent, because that's pure blasphemy. With everything we've put up with for the last 15, 20 years, we want to see Utah get pounded into the ground every single week.
I would even take it a step higher.
Yeah.
The bishop, no, I would go higher.
Oh,
up the food chain.
Stake president?
This is serious. This is not where I come from, 3 Hail Marys.
Area 70, though.
12? Oh, really? The 70?
Quarter of the 12? Like, where are we going here?
Yeah, how far up the food chain?
Well, I want to have a higher jurisdiction, and then they figure it out. They may call in reinforcements. But I agree with what he's saying.
I think that is one of the best right there. When Drew, you can hear like the pain in his voice the last 10, 15,
right?
20 years. It's
They've
like,
had the upper
because when he was
hand.
saying that, I was like, yeah, the Pac-12 era. When he went 15, I'm like, yeah, the Sugar Bowl. And he went 20. I was like, yeah, back to Urban Meyer. Your rival busted the BCS and got all the glory.
Yes.
Why didn't the 14-1 Cotton Bowl team bust the BCS and get, it's just like, it was a slightly different format. It was an alliance.
Yeah, but
thing.
I think they needed it. Like, why didn't Steve Young, why didn't Jim McMahon need the Heisman?
They needed teams along the way. There was an
Ty Detmer needed those guys to be big time.
100%. There was an undefeated Marshall team, and I like Marshall, and that wide receiver. I mean, he's pretty good, but he's doing it against lesser competition than Randy Moss goes off to the NFL, and he's doing it every Sunday in the league, and you're like, oh yeah, they had something.
Right. So it has been largely, if you were going to say who has had the upper hand, largely, like 90% has been Utah. Yep. And they're doing it with a BYU guy. That's just injury to insult there. Yeah. Get out of 10, and he won't say the letters BYU. For me, I try to say them every chance I get.
Then you won't have to go meet with leadership.
I can't say them enough. Oh, they've tried. I say, I got to work. I'm like you. Anytime anybody asks you to do something, I got to work.
I'm working.
Even though you didn't want to do it, you just didn't want to hurt their feelings. Or I said, no way, I'm not interested.
That may or may not have happened.
I know it did.
So do all the people that see me laughing on the camera right now. Obviously, I was lying.
And for me, I just say,
it didn't happen.
No,
there.
I'm not interested. I'm not going. Simple as that. I tell the truth. Nothing but the truth. The whole
one
truth.
was going to the UV basketball game. Although I ultimately did go. It was a great game.
I told
Utah
Pope
State won't go down there
when
anymore.
he made a bigger, when he got a bigger job, I would go there.
Still waiting for your Rupp Arena tickets? Check the mail.
I saw his teams play many times.
You did. And you've got plans. Don't give them away. I'm just going to say. PK's thinking ahead.
Yeah.
He's thinking ahead.
For sure.
You'll know. You'll know all in good time. All in due time. All right, DJ and PK, other things we have discussed this morning. Anything else you want to know?
Baseball knocking it out of the park again, metaphorically and literally.
Oh, nice. That was a big at bat by Judge. That stadium went bonkers.
Oh, my gosh.
And the announcer, don't lie if it's fair.
Yeah.
And then it takes that, it's tracking. You're trying to track it through the crowd, right? It's a white ball, and it's with the lights, and
then
everybody
he
wearing the white jerseys.
it.
Yeah, he did. And when it carried sideways, I know, like, well, that had to have hit the foul pole.
And it did, yeah.
It did.
And I think for people like him, you have to back up phenomenal play in the regular season and the postseason. You just
and they
have
got all
to.
the stats, and his postseasons, haven't been good enough, and they want
went
World
3 for
Series.
4 yesterday.
I know.
And they probably.
And had
I would still think they would get
swing.
eliminated.
And they were still in trouble at 6-3. I mean, they were starting to rally, but they were in trouble. There's 2 on and down the line, and tied. It felt like a new lease on life. Personally, I wasn't convinced they were going to do it, but they did.
I agree.
Yeah,
that just put them even.
Right, I know.
And it was only in the 4th inning.
It
You
was
still had
early, right?
more than half the game to go.
But they scored the last 8 runs of the game, down 6-1. The Yankees win 9-6. But to your point, they're still down 2-1. They're still in trouble.
You got Guerrero hitting like 900.
I was in my car when the game started, so I had it on. And I don't know who it was on the network radio, but he completely lost his mind. And then he clearly had the chart right in front of him. Vlad Guerrero is 7 for 10. He's got 3 home runs. I'm sitting there thinking, like, I was going to ask you, like, was there anybody on your high school team who's that dominant? I mean, you've said, you played third base, you were younger than everybody and, slap hitting third baseman. But there was like one guy, when he walked to the plate, you just knew he was going to get a hit or an extra base hit.
None that I can think of.
Sometimes at that level, you get guys who put up those kind of numbers, but 7 for 10, 3 homers.
When I came to bat, you were just hoping I was finding a way to move the runner along or maybe squeak one into right field.
Well, that was awesome. We'll see if the Yankees can follow it up. Seattle's up 2-1 on Detroit, and we got Milwaukee trying to sweep Chicago today, and the Dodgers trying to sweep the Phillies. Baseball starts at 1. It'll go till about 10 o'clock. Brett McMurphy had a note. There's a couple games tonight. I know UTEP's playing somebody tonight. There's 2 games tonight, and it's the start of 49 consecutive nights of football. So you can check your ESPN2s, your ESPNUs, your CBS Sports Networks, and your FS1s.
What is 49? Does it go to that Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it must. Today's
it does. It's November 25th.
And that's the one Mark Harlan was talking about.
And Mark Harlan's idea was genius.
100% on board with it. I'm a little irritated they didn't do it last year.
And that would push us like 50-plus days at least.
Because Big 12 games are good games. They do get overshadowed. Anytime you can find a TV window that nobody else is in, see what you can do. And that means, obviously, they should be giving somebody a bye. They shouldn't pull the NFL where they make them play Sunday, Thursday. College. Man, you want this game to look good. And a lot of those Thursday night NFL games don't look good.
Right.
So give them a bye the week before.
Both teams get a bye.
Yeah.
And that is essentially is a Friday night.
Yes. It's a great idea. And I got to imagine they're going to do it. There's got to be a TV network that's going to sign off on that. And the only thing I would tell them is don't push for cable, push for over-the-air because you get more viewers. There's got to be a network out there that's like, nobody's watching our network shows.
Well, KSL will do it.
Well, it has to be network, PK. It would have to be NBC, CBS, ABC.
That's KSL.
But not ESPN or FS1 is what I'm saying.
And have
more
Sam
viewers.
and JJ call the game.
Okay.
You want to do sideline?
Apparently.
Yeah, you'd be good at it.
Somebody has to anchor. Remember David Locke doing sideline? We got to bring that up with him. There was a memorable moment when he did sideline.
I do.
John L. Smith.
Yeah. What do we have? We have got news here, Yak?
So we've been talking about the Stanford football program and the $50 million infusion of money. It comes from Bradford Freeman, who was a graduate in 1964.
Well, anybody named Bradford, you're going to be intelligent.
And he went on to have a long career in both investment banking and private equity. And he actually endowed the head coaching job at Stanford back in '88. So he's now just added another $50 million to the pot.
Way to go, Bradford.
Stanford. A lot of coaches are looking like, ooh, that's a good job. Tell me more.
The statement from Stanford says we plan to use this to great effect in the changing world of college athletics.
Have to.
Yep. All right, DJ and PK, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. It is time for your feedback. Who are BYU fans rooting for Saturday night at Rice-Eccles Stadium? Rob is rooting for a game full of turnovers, penalties, and stupid mistakes. Both teams come away with shattered confidence and shame. Miserable weather, and Arizona State wins 9-6.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want Utah to be buried.
Because you hate Arizona State too.
But
he'll have them beaten, but not buried. You want 56
You're
to
not
nothing.
competing with them.
Well, that's what Ryan wants. Ryan Hancock. Former BYU quarterback.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Former Major League pitcher.
Yeah.
ASU by 1 million. 2 full weeks of dancing on the Utes' grave. Oh, glorious.
I agree. If you're a BYU guy, I agree with Ryan all the way.
BYU Koala. I hope Utah loses, but I hope Levitt has twice as many INTs as touchdowns.
That's not going to happen.
He throws.
It doesn't work that way.
The old Ty Detmer numbers where like every possession ends in a touchdown or a pick and the punter does nothing all day long.
Yeah, but not
a game
twice
like that
as many.
No, I know. That would be.
You could have like 8 and 4.
4 touchdowns and 8 picks and 12 possessions and you win 28-27? That's not happening.
No, you can, and he threw interceptions, but he also threw 6-7 touchdown passes a game. So what difference did it make? But that's not going to happen here. Utah's defense is going to be awfully tough. There's a reason why they're favored.
Your golf story generated reaction. You could tell PK that the one good thing that came out of his ball marker story is that now he has a great story to kick off his sacrament meeting talk on peacemaking. I would have undressed the idiot right there on the green. Sideways laughing, crying emoji. That's also sent in by Ryan Hancock, who apparently has a little bit of time on his hands this morning.
I am a peacemaker.
Ryan, how's it going?
I'm a peacemaker. I listened over the weekend. I'm a peacemaker. Yes.
Oh, man.
That's who I am.
You are.
I am one of the blessed are me.
Blessed are the PKs.
Right.
This is Pat Kinahan, Paul Kirk. I don't know how many more PKs I know.
Parker Kingston.
Parker Kingston, another PK.
Paul Kruger.
Paul Kruger. Phil Knight. Oh, that ruins the Peacemaker boat right there.
And then the the former AD at Oregon, their baseball stadium is called PK Park, and I thought it was Phil Knight, but I looked it up because I've been there many times. Mm-hmm. It's actually for the former administrator at Oregon. Yeah, I forget his name, though.
All right, DJ and PK, there's the feedback of the day. Thank you, Ryan Hancock, for doing the heavy lifting. When we come back, Jake and Ben will take over right here on The Zone.